Okay, this is Mr. Marr with B Theory doing another audio sauna sound designer project stepper or tutorial guide, I should say. So we did our three main synthesizer types. You've got our pluck, pad, and lead. So now let's open Studio, close the ad, and this time we're going to add some drums. So where it kind of sounded like a little like not quite like music yet, just kind of sounds like weird noises, the drums are going to make it really sound like a beat. So I have some sounds already ready in your drum template. So we're going to open from my computer. Most recent one was 3H for me. And in this file, I have each track complete. Track 1, track 2, track 3, and I know my synthesizers are all edited because I can check and see and make sure. So I'm all caught up. That'd be A+ on the check. We're going to click Sampler 2 in track 4 to add the drums. So there's already a drum structure, a few notes in the drums already. Don't move these. Everything is where it's supposed to be. We just need to add more notes to it. So I'm going to press the red M to unmute, and let's hear what it all sounds like together. Cool. So it's pretty cool, but I think we can make it a little more interesting. So, if you notice on the piano roll, if you click these notes, they play. And with the sampler, each one of these is a different drum sound. If we go back to, say, the lead and do the same thing, it plays different notes. For the sampler, each key is a different drum instrument. So here's the closed hi-hat, here's the snare drum, and here's the bass drum. Don't touch the snare drum part. We're not editing that. That's where it needs to be. We just need a straightforward backbeat. So I'm going to use the pencil tool, which is right here. I'm going to add some more notes in between. So personally, I like a lot of hi-hat. So I'm going to fill in almost every note. I'm going to leave a couple spaces here and there to create some hi-hat rolls. I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. So right now this is the snap to grid. So when I click a note, that's the length of the note. It's a 1/16 of a bar. Of a bar that's in 4/4. So I'm going to click that, and we're going to change that to 32. So that's going to create these faster notes. We usually call those hi-hat rolls. So I'm going to put those in a couple different spots. I can also do 1/64 notes, which are even faster. The 1/28 starts to sound kind of funny, so I'm not using any of those. But 1/64 is good. Usually they're pretty good before snare drums, but it's up to you. You can be creative with it. So let's hear how that sounds now with our edits. So that sounds a lot cooler, I think, than just that straightforward hi-hat pattern. It's got a little more motion to it. Snare drum stays the same. Bass drum, we're going to stick with 16th notes. So I'm going to click my snap to grid back to 16th note, and we're going to just add some other bass drum notes. We'll hear how that sounds. Cool. I like how that sounds. You don't have to add a whole lot to the bottom line. We're just trying to add more to the hi-hat. So once your piano roll is together for the drums, we're going to double click on sampler 2. We're going to make some edits. So let's press S to solo. So now we can hear just the drum part, and we're going to be able to hear how this is changing things. So we're going to start with right here, which is called the distortion, and we're going to use the drive knob in the distortion just to make the drums hit a little bit harder. So you can make it pretty intense. You can put that all the way up if you want. I'm going to put that at maybe 60. I think that sounds pretty cool. So next I'm going to add what's called an LFO, which is right here. And that is going to change the sound in like a wave. There's like a wave kind of modulating through the sound, either the filter or the pitch. It's kind of the two different things. We're not going to worry about filter, but we can do pitch. So let's press play. Sometimes the LFO gets unclicked when you do that. Just click it again. Let's turn up that pitch knob. So all the way up doesn't sound very good. All the way up sounds kind of ridiculous. But if you put just a little bit, then it adds like some pitch variation, mostly to the hi-hat, because that's what's playing mostly. And that kind of mimics how a lot of producers who use FL Studio, they'll pitch their hi-hats. So they'll have the hi-hat playing like a bunch of different notes, especially on rolls. So it just sounds a little bit more varied and interesting. So if that LFO gets unclicked, just click it again, and there you go. So that's everything you need to do for step 4. I'm going to unclick that S, and let's hear what it all sounds like together. There you go. And that's step 4. File. Saved to my computer. And call it 4H. Dot song. Very important. Make sure you keep ending it with dot song. We have one more step to go through to get all our notes together before we move on to a little bit of mixing and arranging and some other things like that. So let's pause it here for now. You should be able to go on to step 5 after this.